Welcome everyone. Today we'll be looking at one of the strongest builds currently in Path of Exile 2 Early Access. Now looking behind me, there's 0 buttons, everything is auto-casted, infinite blinks, triple auto-casting trigger spells. And yes, everything melts. well, I'll let you guys have a look at the replays and you can see the demonstration. We have tested with tier 18 maps, under 1 minute tier 18 is cleared. We have tested with multiple uber unique pinnacle bosses, everything melts within seconds. This is one of the most, broken or meta crazy build that is available in early access. And yes, this is the endgame build that uses multiple uber unique items that infinitely cast auto spells. And let's have a look at one of the pinnacle bosses over here. So the build can auto loops cast on critical, which means the boss is one-shotted within 1 to 2 seconds auto casting. So you can see on the skill bar, there's no skill attached. All you have to do is hold on blink and all the spells are auto casted. You have tons of mana recovery, energy shield recovery, over 5,000 life steal and also life regeneration, which is crazy. And you have over 60% critical chance with your spells with over 750 critical damage. Now, I'm not making those numbers up. I'll show you guys the exact details of how this Bloodmage can clear any content. Let's have a look at this map. This is a tier 82 map, which my friend Royal was demonstrating to me how fast the build can be. Look at this. This is... I was speechless when I first saw this build. It is so fast. You literally can take down any tier 18 map within 60 seconds. And this is a map with a boss as well. So we get to demonstrate to you guys with everything. This is also combined with Simulacrum. And this is crazy, right? You're moving super fast across the map. Everything is auto-casted, auto-strike, and infinitely looping damage stacking. So let me briefly explain the build to you guys. You are using the uber unique chairs with temporals, which lowers the cooldown of your spells up to 4 seconds. And this allows blink and also lightning bolt to have no cooldown. And this means that your spells can be auto-casted using trigger spells like cast on critical and also cast on blink. And this means you're casting infinite number of spells as you travel across the map. Now, there is a small catch to this build, is that if your graphics card and also computer cannot handle the excessive looping of the auto-casting spells, you might want to adjust against the Pinnacle Boss. Because when the build was initially created, they had troubles against the boss because it looped too many times that the damage number was just too crazy that actually crashed the game. So you can see here, the boss is dying within 1 second. And here is one of the bigger demonstrations. So here my friend is carrying a 6-man party against the boss. And this is what I'll show you guys. So notice this, the game actually froze. I'm not pausing, so I'll go back a little bit to show you guys. The game actually froze because it went into an infinite damage stacking loop. And guess what happens? Because he's triggering spells on cast on critical, it triggers another spell's cast on critical, it infinite looped, and it froze for 1 to 2 seconds. And after that, the boss is gone. Yes, the build is literally broken, and it is so fun to watch, and also super powerful. Now, as we continue to go through some of the game demonstrations, I'll also share all the demonstrations, all the item that is used, and all the gears, all the jewels that is, fully perked out and also tested. You can see that the build will be casting Lightning Spark upon blink and upon finishing blink. Lightning Spark will also help us to trigger multiple spells as we critical with a massive critical chance coming from the Ascension because of the Bloodmage. We are using multiple items, and even though you can notice our HP goes lower suddenly, we have 3 layers of protection. We have massive energy shield, overcapping by double. We have massive life overcap. We also have mind over matter for mana defensiveness. So even if your energy shield or life goes to 0, you still have mana. If your mana goes to 0, you have tons of life steal. Over 5,000 per second, which is incredible. Now over here, let me show you guys a demonstration of the bridge. So when you start the bridge in an open map, you can cover the entire zone of the bridge. Could you imagine that? So yes, my friend Royal here is actually covering the entire zone of the bridge. So he can literally loop around the circle 360 and kill everything that is spawning on the bridge. Yes. After watching his build, I do want to warn you guys, my build just doesn't feel the same. I'm playing the summoner, I'm running around with my minions, I was like, hey, I'm playing a different game over here. So this is the second warning, I guess, for the build. If you guys are watching this build, be aware, your old build will never look the same again once you look at this build. This build have ways of getting overcapping life to double your life, overcapping mana to double your mana, and also overcapping your energy shield with Green Fist to double your energy shield. So everything can be doubled. and the more life you have, the higher critical damage you will deal. And also the more mana you have when you're against the boss, the stronger your Archmage is, and also the more energy shield you have, the stronger you become. So yes, that was a bridge. It covered the entire zone of the bridge within the zone with 360. Now, similar to all the build guide, I'll be sharing you guys with every detail of this build, including the choices of gears, the choices of potions, and also the choices of the skill passives, together with this amazing talent tree that has multiple unique socketings. So what I will share you guys is, look at those circles. Those points are allocated without having to path into them. And this allows this build to be a super endgame, point saving, and also super effective build. This build is very well thought, and there's a lot of small things and also details you guys need to understand, because this build is very powerful. But make sure you use the timestamps below, because I'll be trying to explain everything with you guys, including some of the choices of the unique jewels that can enhance your build massively if you look at this one. So this one allows you to affect and also perk into the nodes within the region without having to spend the tree pathing over there, saving over 10 skill passives. Now, before we dive into the builders guide, I would like to say a big thank you, shout out, and also credits to Jungroan over here. Jungroan was the player or the content creator who first discovered and also made the initial setup for this build. And make sure you check out his YouTube channel and also subscribe to him for some of the most creative and also broken builds in the Path of Exile game. And yes, during the video, Jungroan did mention that he was out of currency, so he didn't finish the build fully, and he did experience some crashes, which he later also solved with adjusting the skills. And at the same time, I do want to say a big shout out and also thank you for my friend Royal NZ. If you guys have seen him before, he made a super powerful Stoneweaver build, and after learning from Jungroan, Royal also made his own build, and this is the build we're currently learning. Now similarly, make sure you subscribe to my friend Royal, because he has been posting some of the latest build, including this one, on his channel. So if you want to see those live few days before I even make the guide on it, make sure you follow and also subscribe to him for the latest update. You can also see that my friend was able to find the relic. He was also able to farm with 1 honor to get the chest, which we'll be sharing and also teach you guys in future videos how to be using your last flame to farm with 1 honor for the uber unique chest for this build. Now, Roy also adjusted a little bit due to the frequent crashes of the infinite looping. So this particular setup will teach you guys how to reduce the potential crash because you're looping too many times against the boss with auto casting. And as you guys can see in the replay demonstrations, after adjusting for the potential crashes, even with a 6-man party, with a boss over hundreds and so hundreds of million HP, even though the game freezes a little bit, he can still take down the boss without crashing the game, which is the big drawback before when this build was first created, because it was too strong, it actually literally broke the game. Now, as you guys follow the links below to come over to the builder's guide, you'll see 3 variants for this build. Normal mapping and also any bosses with T18, this setup is extremely powerful. If you guys find yourself a little short for the anointment of the amulet, you can go for a cheaper variant, which will save you around 10 divine, because the anointment is very expensive for the amulet. So this particular unique gloves will allow you to save some divines. But having the rare gloves will give you more stats, more survivability, and also even higher rarity found. Now, the build does have a variant. Make sure you watch the video on the second part, which will teach you about how to avoid the crash using the Uber boss variant. Because for bosses over 30 or 200 million HP, you can be using this variant, still dealing tons of damage, as you guys saw in the replays over here. Sometimes it can still freeze if you're carrying a 6-man party, but other times the boss will die in seconds. The damage is not a problem, it's an infinite looping. So briefly going through the core mechanics of the build and some things we need to understand. So over here we have Temporals. This is going to be an uber unique chest piece that is usually very hard to get. Currently the price is crashing for those items because of the potential dupes that is going around, so please do be careful if you plan to buy this chest. Now, we do have a warning video about this unique Uber chest being duped currently, so make sure you check this out, because this chest at the time of the recording was selling for about 80 to 90 divines. That was 2 days ago. So those chests has crashed to around 30 and also 35 divines. There's definitely something funny going on, so please be careful if you want to invest into one of those chest items, because the prices are crashing very rapidly because people are literally printing those chests non-stop, which is good for most of the other players because the price goes lower. That means you can afford this build a little further. But at the same time, guys, I would not recommend rushing to buy those chests because prices are going further. And just the latest of the videos, you can see that people are selling tons of those items. And those duplicated items can potentially be deleted. So you might be wasting your currency. Not only that prices are dropping like, 10, 20 divine every few hours, those items can also be potentially deleted. So make sure you watch this video as well, the latest update on this current market crash, and also the dupes, the exploits, and also how people are save loading items to pretty much get the best item in any category. Very, very scary, so please be careful. Now, as of the latest update, the developer has addressed the duplication of the unique chest temporas, and this was lately released. But in case, and also whether you guys are wondering, should you buy those chests because the prices are changing, please have a look at this part of the video as I share my thoughts about the potential of those duplicated items getting deleted if you get them. So please make sure you understand this one if you want to dive into this build, guys. There has been a lot of updates of the latest news and also the latest bug fix regarding to those items, which is essential for this build. So this particular chest will lower the cooldowns of your spells up to 4 seconds. Now, one of the ways we're lowering the cooldowns is this way Blink has no longer has cooldowns. So you can see the Blink cooldowns can be removed when you increase the quality of the Blink of the gem. And then together with this particular unique amulet. Now, this particular amulet is very powerful because it provides you a skill called Lightning Bolt. This is a skill normally not acquirable in the game, and this Lightning Bolt skill is automatically triggered on critical. Our build has over 60% or even 70% critical chance, and this means when you trigger a Lightning Bolt, you auto-trigger yourself when you critical again, and this is without having this spell in the loop of cast on critical. What's more crazy is the Lightning Bolt skill have an innate 0.5 second cooldown. But because of this chance, the cooldown of 0.5 seconds is removed, and this spell can trigger infinite times as you loop with even higher critical chance. Now, because we have extremely high critical chances, this Lightning Bolt also ignores lightning resistance, giving you even higher damage, which is very, very powerful. So if we come over to some of the replay demonstrations, you can see the moment one lightning bolt strikes, multiple will strike at the same time because you are critical hitting. And this means you rains down infinite lightning bolts as you crit multiple times. Each critical will strike more lightning bolt, and this repeats infinite times as you blink around, auto casting a majority of your spells, which is incredibly broken, right? This whole combination. Now at this point, I do want to give you guys another warning. Yes, a lot of warning for this build because we're a little worried. So the first thing we warn you guys is about crashing in the game. There's a way to adjust for the swapping so we no longer crashes against the boss. The second warning is that if you guys do plan to follow this build, please be careful. It is likely this build is too broken for the meta, and it is possible this might get nerfed next week when the developers come back from holidays. So please don't blindly follow the build and also invest too much into the items. Not only some of the items are crashing down in price, but we're also waiting for the new patch notes. So the reason my friend was able to build this particular build is because that he had 90% of the gears ready and he was able to adjust for the setup. Now, if the amulet or other parts of the build gets nerfed, we do have backup plans and also ways to adjust for this. So in that sense, even though we might not be able to infinite loop the lightning bolts, there's other ways we can infinite loop and also auto cast with this crazy blink build. Now, other than those two essential pieces currently for the build, the helmet will provide us with tons of energy shield, and the belt will just give us a massive stat boost. Those are not necessity, but those will greatly enhance both of your damage and also survivability. Because our build was scaled towards increased critical damage because of the Bloodmage passive, which I'll show you guys over here. So over here you can see 1% critical damage increase per 40 life. You can easily get over 4,000 or 5,000 life because overcapping life, which means doubling your life, with the ability to go with life remnants, which allows you to double your life overcapping it. And this means you can be getting so much critical damage bonus, it is crazy. Over 500 to 750 once you overcap the life. We also have tons of spell critical chance, which means more auto casting of our spells. And this base increase of spell critical chance is also amazing with more critical chance increase. Now finally, the build can also use these unique gloves, which allows you to be leeching from critical hits to be instant. But if you follow the guide and also go for the more, fancy version, we can anoint leeching onto the amulet, which can save up a spot for the gloves for even better stats. So now coming over to the skill links for this amazing build. Now firstly, if you guys remember, Lightning Bolt is a free spell coming from this amulet. You can get up to level 19 on Lightning Bolt, and this is for the level 84 item. Lightning Bolt will only come with 5 sockets at the moment. We're not sure if level 20 will give us the 6th socket, but it's actually very hard to get even for level 19. You can see that Lightning Bolt has some decent damage and it has AoE radius, and this means you can add skills that increase the radius of this spell. So Lightning Bolt is combined with Magnify Effect, with Considered Casting, with Spell Echo to trigger more times, and also with Lightning Mastery for even higher spell damage. Now over here we have 2 trigger spells when we're mapping around the map. Now do keep in mind we'll be turning one of those off when we go for the boss. So cast on critical and also cast on dodge, it is preferably guys you get this one to 20 quality for the better gain of energy. Over here we have spark, we have life tap, we have fog, and also we have energy retention. As for cast on dodge, we have 2 spark added to the sockets, and this is actually a strong mechanics. Now over here you can see, as my friend Royal demonstrates, when you have cast on critical and you blink around, notice that it only shows 1 spark if you only have 1 spark in the socketing. But once you have 2 spark, what's going to happen is, after having 2 spark on cast on critical, as you blink around, you will spawn 2 sparks as you blink around, and this will allow us to have double the spark, more chance to trigger cast on critical, and having an even widespread of damage against enemies, which can be auto casting a lot of spells. Now the question may be, how come you don't have 3 sparks? Is that having more sparks actually lower the energy gain, and every time you blink around, you no longer auto cast all your spells. So 2 sparks are the optimal setup over here for this setup. Again, a big thank you for Jungroan for introducing and also sharing his concept for this particular setup. So here we're combining those 2 sparks with chain, with acceleration, and also inspiration. Now it is very important for me to teach you guys that you do not want high level of spark. So if you come over to the raid place my friend Royal shared with us, you can see the level of his spark. Originally level of the skill is only level 4. From all the global modifiers, he have +8 to this level. Why do we pick level 4 for both of the spark is to lower the mana cost. You do not want to be auto casting too many sparks with too much mana. The sparks are not here to do damage. They are here to auto trigger additional critical hits, and with more critical hits, you will be casting on critical for multiple lightning bolts. So keep that in mind guys, you do not want this spell to be too high level because this will cost you too much mana. Now to follow from the socketing over here, we also have acceleration, we have chain, and also we have inspiration. Inspiration will even further lower the cost of your spells, which is more important guys to have a lower level of sparks. So both of the sparks, my friend, is currently level 4. And you guys can see the mana cost, it goes from 6 to 64. You do not want the highest level of your sparks. Now over here we'll be socketing Blink with combination of Arcane Tempo for faster casting speed and also Ingenuity for lower cooldowns, so we can hit the threshold that all the cooldowns goes to 0 with this particular chest. Now for the active auras and also spells, we have Life Remnant. This spell will allow us to overcap life, which means you can have up to double your life as you pick up the Life Remnant. This spell is socketed with multiple aura spells that can cost you a little bit of spirit reservation, with Clarity for mana regen, with Cannibalism, and also for Vitality for massive recovery of life. Because we're Bloodmage, a lot of our spells will be coming from life spending, so having so much life gain is even stronger, especially combined with damage recoup as life. This will allow us together with the Spell Leech to have over 5,000 life recovery as we travel across the map, with so much utility and also so much sustain. Now the other 2 auras we're running is going to be Mana Remnant and also Green Fist. So similar to Life Remnant, Mana Remnant allows us to double up overcapping our mana. Together with Green Fist, this allows us to double cap and overcapping our energy shield, doubling the base stats. So all the stats you see with life, mana, and also energy shield can be doubled as you pick up those remnants as you kill enemies. Now finally, Archmage is actually a spell that is tailored towards against the boss. So here let me show you guys the setup against the boss. So here you can see we'll be turning off cast on critical and removing life tap, putting life tap from cast on critical onto Lightning Bolt. So this spell now uses life to be infinite casting, and this avoids a crash with cast on critical. Now life tap, the skill we swapped away, is gonna be Lightning Mastery. We'll be turning off cast on critical, and turning on Archmage before we fight the boss. And this will be the setup you have before fighting the boss, and this will avoid the game from crashing. Now, in case you guys are wondering, we do have a replay at the end of the video to show you this exact swap, what you want to do before the boss. You can see my friend turning off cast on critical, swapping life tap, swapping lightning mastery, and then he will be turning on the Archmage. So this particular setup is very important for you to understand, and make sure you use the timestamps below for all the details. Now coming over to the skill passive for this particular build. What you can see is on the Mobility's guide, currently we do not have enough choices for the unique gems. Now our build currently uses 2 unique jewels, and those can be a little costly. So it is optional guys if you want to follow this fully, and also as to how to search for those unique jewels, I have another video to teach you guys in the comments below so you can learn how to search for those items. It is again optional to get those, but as you can see in the explanation, this will save you a lot of passive skill points. And this means you can be perking those without having to path over there. So let me go through the builder's guide for some important notes, and then we come over to the replays to show you guys the details of the choices of those amazing jewels. So what we're getting is we're getting additional energy shield, we're getting more energy shield, more casting speed, and also even higher critical damage, and also more mana regen with casting speed. Over here, one of the most important note is actually this knot. This knot means that you are recovering life instead of energy shield, and this also applies the flask of your health flask to restore energy shield. What you're going to see as we share the choice of unique potions is that this can be incredibly powerful, together with the ability to restore our life by 12.5% per second. This is actually amazing, because you're always constantly recovering life through the energy shield recovery. There's also a number of nodes that provide you with more damage, and also even higher damage with critical bonus. So over here you can see we have more critical chance, more critical damage, and even higher damage, and also recovering mana as you trigger spells. And as you can see over here, with more nodes that is allocated, and also here with Mind Over Matter that will protect us using our mana. We have so much mana recovery, so much life recovery, the build is super tanky. Now one of the biggest highlights for this build is the choice of Ascension class. Not only do we get life remnant that can double our life as you pick up those remnants, and here having additional life, with every 40 life you get 1% critical damage. So we'll be having over 5,000 life, and this is over 100% and even higher critical damage because of this. Because our build wants to critical a lot, having a higher base spell critical chance means our base critical chance is increased by 50%. With additional nodes to increase critical chance for spells, this is by far the best class to be auto casting spells using cast on critical. And here we have spell damage leech as life. Imagining having so much loop of damage that is infinitely casting, and here you have spell damage leech as life, together with the ability to instantly leech your damage. This is incredibly powerful with the whole combination, especially for this knot. So just to show you guys the powerfulness of the spell leech, you can see that as my friend travel around, as he kill enemies, he recover life. As he deals spell damage, he will recover life. And yes, he's using life tap to be casting spells using his life. And the reason that he's not losing life is that he's recovering so much more life than he can take the damage. And this is why with multiple spell casting, he can easily leech over 5,000 life per second or even higher when there's more enemies. Because all your spell leeches life, and those leech can become instantly using the unique gloves or using a special anointed knot, which I go through guys with the keys of choices. So now coming back to my friend's actual replay, which we can show you guys more details of choices of the jewels. So for the rare jewels, there isn't a requirement to have a particular stat. A lot of stats can be working for this build, including increasing maximum energy shield, recouping life, recouping damage as life, increasing spell damage, and also anything that boosts your spell critical chance and also spell critical damage can be great. So there isn't a particular affix you need, but you can see my friend even has recovering life on kill, recovering mana on kill, and also tons of ways to inflict additional critical chance with spells. So there's a lot of good effects you can be going for. Now one of the bigger highlights for this particular build is having 3 different unique jewels. And before making this build and learning this build, I didn't even know those jewels existed. So let's learn this one together. And again, a big thank you for my friend Royal, who has so much knowledge for Path of Exile 1, Path of Exile 2. And I do recommend you guys check out his channel because he posts some of the amazing content that I wouldn't even imagine that's in the game, right? So For this particular dupe, what this allows you to do is you can be pathing into any of the node next to enrich battery for free. That's right, you do not need to path into the tree. You can go to enrich battery, and notice over here, enrich battery, which let me come back to this particular setup. Enrich battery is the node that is over here. So all the nodes that's around this point, that the nodes over here with increased spell damage, the node over here with increasing maximum mana, and also the massive node over here with lightning spells to chain additional times, those can be pathed for free. So you don't have to waste a little points over here and points all the way over here to get those nodes. And you can see in the replays, this is what's happening. So here he passed this point, he will be pathing this point and this point for free. I mean, you still cost 1 skill point, but you do not need to path all the way to those points. And this will massively save his passive points. At the same time, you can see the other nodes are also perked for free. So how did this work? Not really for free, but I guess they do not need to be pathed. So we have another unique jewel that is available over here. So with the controlled metamorphosis, this allows you to have a circle, and all the spell that is within the circle of radius can be pathed for free without having to perk into the pathing of the trees. And this again can save you over 10 skill passives. Now compared to the previous unique jewel, this one does have some drawbacks. This will reduce your all elemental resistance and even lower your KS resistance, which we'll talk about resistance and also the choices when we pick up the gears. So this one does have a negative side effect. Now, I did ask my friend this question. I thought we can only have one unique juice, but if you look at the name of the unique juice and also the limited, so for each of the same name of the unique juice, you can only have one of those. So you can have multiple juice that is unique, but they cannot be the same name. Or you must check for the amount of availability, how many of those juice is limited. So if it says one over here, you can only have one type of the control metamorphosis. And similarly over here, you can see from nothing for the diamond, you can only have one of this particular unique jewel that is available on the skill passive at the same time. Now over here, I do want to have a small correction. I accidentally mentioned that we have 3 unique jewels, but it's actually we only have 2 unique jewels. It's because I thought over here there's a unique jewel. So yes, this build uses 2 different unique jewels that is very, very powerful. And finally, again, you can see the choice of rare jewels. We'll be getting additional energy shield, additional critical damage bonus, spell critical chance, additional energy shield recharge, or anything that's related to mana, life, energy shield, recovery, critical chance, spell damage, critical, everything is great for this particular build. Now coming over to the gear of choice for this build. Firstly, you can see we're picking this unique helmet for additional gain of energy shield. And you can see my friend did socket in for additional rarity, and this helmet is corrupted with additional spirit. If you are short on spirit, you got to make sure you have enough spirit to be casting those auras and also to have the benefits. But if you do not have enough ways of getting more spirit, it is okay guys, you can let go maybe something like the Mana Remnant, but having Green Fist will give you a lot more survivability. Mana Remnant is good too because you have mana over matter. So ideally, if you can get the helmet with corrupted spirit, this is the best way to go. But that won't be cheap, right? And yes, the centerpiece of the build is having a high enough cooldown on your Uber chest with the Temporals. Having enough cooldown and also together with qualities on your blink will enable you to have no cooldowns with your blink, which is extremely powerful. In terms of the wand, over here we're going additional damage as lightning, we're going additional lightning spells which can go up to +5, we're going with additional critical chance, critical damage for spells. Additional spell damage is okay, and also additional mana is always welcome for this particular wand. Now here, my friend did decide to go with a rare scepter. Having this rare scepter, the bigger focus is the choice of aura. This Matters aura will give us another increased critical strike chance by 10% as we stay around the enemy. Over here we also have over 92% increase of spirit, which is a massive factor how you can be running with so many auras. So yes, we're using this scepter for a massive boost of spirit that you can be running multiple auras. Now in terms of the other choices of affixes, having intelligence, mana recovery, additional mana is good. You do not need much of the minion stuff, and anything allies, you don't need that. So the focus of this scepter is to get as much spirit as you can, and then anything else is a bonus over here. Now we have talked about the choice of amulets before, and this is a unique amulet. You want to get as high level of lightning bolt as you can. For the level 84 amulet, you can get level 19 lightning bolt. But the bigger focus is actually this anointment. This ferocious anointment allows you to leech instantly 20%. 20% of leech is instant. So one of the bigger factors of having leech that is instant, which allows you to remove the choice of the need for having these cheaper unique gloves. So the reason we have the unique gloves over here is so that before having this anointment, you have leech from critical that is instant. But once you have this anointed on your amulet, your 20% leech is instant, so this saves up another spot for the gloves, which is very important to go for the high end for this particular build. Now here we also have a bonus tip from Royal. In order to get lightning bolt to 20 quality, you can use the catalyst for lightning modifier on this particular amulet for 20% quality, which will then in return give your lightning bolt 20% quality. If you guys not sure about this, after learning from Royal about this, I'll be making a new crafting guide on this particular part for you guys in the future, so stay tuned. So yes, you can get 20% quality on your lightning bolt as well by having qualities on your amulet with the right lightning modifiers. Now as we keep going, you can see the choice of rings. We have the breach ring. Those rings are the best combination for the highest quality increase combined with the ingenuity build, which is not a necessity, but it greatly help you with the build. You do want to get higher maximum life, because with higher life, we get higher spell critical chance, spell critical damage but also additional ways of using life tap for even higher life, and also overcapping this one to double your life with the ascendancy of the life remnants. Over here, we're also getting additional casting speed, additional resistance that is much needed, and also anything to do with additional damage is also great. You can see on the second ring again, guys, additional life, together with some rarity, some casting speed, any stats you're missing, and also additional resistance. Now we're mentioning about the glove. This particular glove currently is going to be a rare glove. This gives us a lot more life, mana, plus rarity, and also resistance. And you can see the choice of those gloves is very, very powerful. Together with combination of this belt. This ingenuity belt will double or almost double the stats coming from your rings. So at 79% from my friend's belt, this is close to 160% of the stats of your rings, which is very, very powerful for this build to stack a lot of life and also lots of resistance. Finally, in terms of the boots, you're getting some movement speed, additional mana, additional life, resistance, anything you can find under the boots is okay. And this boots is nothing fancy, because my friend mentioned at the time he just had a spare boots lying around. He doesn't really need the boots, right? Because he's blinking around so much of the time. Now, some of the highlights that I wasn't able to show on the builder's guide, and it's important for us to understand this one. So the Melting Maelstrom is an uber unique potion that can refill your mana instantly up to 7 times. Now for this uber unique potion, not only does this potion instantly recover your mana, which no matter how much mana you have, you'll be refilled up to 7 times with the maximum charges. This also overflows your mana, continuously restore your mana, and also after casting spells, the mana you have spent will allow you to deal additional chaos damage. There is a drawback for this potion, is that it will deal additional damage to you for the mana spent through chaos damage. But there's a method we can solve this. It's with tons of life recovery and also instant life recovery. In terms of the charms, we don't want to be frozen. So here we have the frozen charm with additional guard and also additional charge gained. And finally, the life potion is also a unique potion. This particular potion allows us to have instant recovery together with increased charge use, and also excess life recovery is grant us guard. Now, remember this potion, guys? And also if you guys remember this particular knot. So I'm showing you guys on my particular trade, what I want to show you guys is you're gaining up to 12%, 12.5% life recovery every second. But once you have life remnant, your life doubles. So this is us getting close to 25% life recovery every second. And because we don't take damage as life, and this allows the recharge of energy shield be recharging life. And in combination, our life recovery flask now provide us with energy shield instead. So if you come back to this flask of life, this will actually restore over 1000 energy shield each time you pop the potion. And this is incredibly powerful because you have ways to instant recover your life through so much life leech and also recovery and also recuper's life. You have ways to instant restore your mana with the other potion, and finally this potion will instantly restore your energy shield to give you even more survivability. Now I'm sure some of you may be curious, how come we have negative chaos resistance? I did ask my friend about this question. He mentioned that most of the maps and also enemies will be dealing elemental damage, so he tried to cap those to 75%. In terms of chaos damage, most of the time, it's not the most frequent damage, and yes, it will damage us, and at the same time, we're taking chaos damage from using the mana flux as well. But our life gain and also our life sustain is so high that the damage we take from chaos is instantly recovered. So he purposely left out some of the chaos resistance on his gear while focusing on other priority of the gears. So yes, this build can potentially have low chaos resistance, but you can be compensated because you're recovering so much life from all the nodes, all the passives, and also all the gears. Now coming over to some skill rotations and also demonstration of the build replays. Well, there isn't any of the skills you need to be casting, guys. It is completely automatic. Everything is automatic. You just have to press down space. Yes, you don't even have to press space multiple times. You just hold your finger down onto space and that's it. Nothing else needs to be done. Everything is killed within one shot, and if it doesn't die, 20 lightning bolt will strike it on the next second and it disappears within seconds. And as long as you don't get motion sickness, I think the build is perfect, right? Because you're blinking so much and you're moving everywhere across the map. Now, of course, this build is especially good as you pass through the mapping and you can be clearing any tier 18 maps within under 1 minute. Yes, you can be flying around super fast across the map, and I'll show you guys in this entire replay. My friend was able to clear all the way up to the boss in less than 60 seconds, and upon reaching the boss, well, let's have a look at the boss. So upon reaching the boss, within a few seconds of the boss's animation, the boss gets infinite looped and disappears within a second. Now, one of the most important part for this build is the infinite looping can crash your computer. That's why it's kind of broken. So the demonstration over here is that you can see this is a boss with over 200 million HP. So the infinite loop around here actually looped too many times, and you can see the game literally froze for my friend and pretty much everyone. But within 1 to 2 seconds, if you use the right adjustment, the boss will be killed before your game gets crashed, and that is very important. Now, do keep in mind that game freeze only happens because my friend purposely went for 6-man party with over 200 million HP of the boss. With normal Uber unique bosses and Pinnacle bosses, even with a 2-man party, you can see there's no problem, there's no crash, there's no lag. So the adjustment for the build will work very well against the boss if you're playing by yourself or play with 1 to 2 friends. And as you guys can see, even testing with 6 people, 200 million HP boss, the boss will melt in 1 to 2 seconds. And you don't even get to see it. I do recommend having a good graphics card or lowering your graphics setting though, just to be safe so your game doesn't crash. So what I do now is I'll provide you guys with tons of testing replays in variety of the content, tier 18, breach clears, different unique Uber bosses, everything we tested and everything will be revealed to you guys. So make sure you use the timestamps below. So this way you can see and also see the choices of the jewels, the choices of the unique jewels, and also everything that is related to the build. Everything is revealed to you guys to help you guys understand the build. And in the future, should things change and things get nerfed, we'll be updating this build for you guys to see how we can make this build even better after those changes. And of course, guys, again, a big thank you for Jungroan and also my friend Royal NZ for sharing and also showcasing us what is possible with this wonderful build, right? Just look at those circles. I feel like I'm playing a different game compared to them with all the choice of circles and also the passive tree.
my agent of chaos.
Feast on flesh.
Now before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.